Sharks have always been on the media's radar screen. It's an annual go-to, like Thanksgiving Day travel stories. But at one point, sightings were rare and attacks on humans even rarer. Something has changed, and now that media fixation appears to have a sound purpose. Looking back at shark coverage over the past 2 decades, there's been an endless fascination with the big sea predators.
A charter fishing boat was rammed by a big shark.
And of course, there are the ubiquitous references to the 1975 movie blockbuster Jaws. Here's the Globe in 2001 using a photo from the movie to illustrate its shark story. Jaws writer Peter Benchley told me in 2004 that he deeply regretted creating a panic about sharks.
Nobody knew anything about sharks. Now, we still don't know a great deal, but what we do know, I couldn't demonize the animal.
But now we do, again. And that's because there's been a dramatic uptick in shark attacks in the U.S. over the past decade, including the death of a man in Wellfleet last summer.
It is the first fatal shark attack in Massachusetts since 1936.
But there was a near-fatal attack a year earlier in Truro.
As I turned my head around to see a big head on my leg that belongs to the shark.
Bill Lighton saved himself by whacking the shark on its gill. Still, he lost most of his blood and spent months in rehab. Now, Cape Cod shark sightings are a daily occurrence.
Duxbury Beach shut down on one of the hottest days of the year.
And there have been very close encounters of the shark kind.
It was hunting very close to shore.
You didn't know whether it was a human or a seal, so it was pretty kind of a heart-stopping moment.
And enough to justify the limitless shark coverage this summer. I mean, I also think there's been a lot of context to the reporting this summer. I mean, seals are still a protected mammal. There were only hundreds of them 20 or 30 years ago. There are tens of thousands of them just in the Cape area alone. So seals is a big attraction, and warmer water is a big attraction. So this is very real. It's the U.S. and Australia. There was a young woman, I should say, who was killed in the Bahamas just in June as well. So it is definitely a bigger threat to humans.
Nauset Beach is closed down again this week.
Really?
And I think some of this also, to add to this, Emily, is the idea that there's far more shark detection going on now. So there are more warnings. Right. And a paper like the Cape Cod Times and its online, Cape Cod Online, are constantly letting people, they're doing a great service.
That guy Greg Scommel goes out every day with his, I went past him one day, and he has a checklist of where he sees all the,
Yeah, and they're constantly, the Cape Cod Online is constantly letting people know what the situation is with shark sightings and with the detection, and they've also got some nets going up. Yeah. But I really think this is the year because of that fatality last year. They have to do it as media. Right. They have to look at it differently this year.
Well, there's also shark sightings all the time now, where there almost never used to be a shark sighting. I mean, this used to be the way the media got through August, right? There's no news, so let's do something on sharks.
Sharks and bears.
And now it's just constant. I agree with you, Emily. I think the press has been doing quite a good job pointing out that a lot of this is being caused by the warmer water than there used to be. And gosh, we don't want to get political here, but that may be related to global warming.
That's why we see more whales here, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the initial focus was it's sensational. It sold papers. It captured eyeballs on the evening news. And that led to actions that made the problem worse. If sharks become the target, then they're being killed all over the world as population control. Then their prey breeds and is out of control, and it becomes this cycle, and now we're seeing the end result of it. I think that it's great that people are reporting more on the climate change aspect, the protected species aspect of it, but I think being able to see the sightings more often, being able to track them, being able to look at trends, that's just part of news. I think that's part of the media doing its job now.
Yeah, I don't go swimming very much at all ever since my tram was attacked at Universal Studios by that shark. I'm actually a little triggered by Roy's tie today.
I know.
Are those porpoises or sharks?
No, they're definitely porpoise.
There are
cetaceans here.
But look, you've all made the point, I won't belabor it, but to the extent that media coverage of I don't know what to call it, just of what had been just a scare story.
It was, yeah.
Winds up providing useful public information about the environment, about public safety, about climate change, then it's worthwhile as long as it's done right and it's not just milked for horror.
It's interesting because I went back and I was looking at stories that we had done in 2000, 2001, and every package that we did, one was about a shark that was caught in a lagoon and they were trying to get it over a sandbar to get out, how rare that was and how unusual it was. But everybody in the packages said, shark bites just don't happen, and it's nothing to worry about for humans, and everybody was poo-pooing it, and everybody was using Jaws as kind of the underlying theme as a joke. But
and by the way, you all laughed at me the last few years when I was talking up the Sharknado movies.
Oh, yeah.
And then that tornado hit down on the Cape this summer.
Was it Shark?
And the sharks were out there. I rest my case.
Quite frankly, I mean, even a dumb story that scares people into going into the water is of some value.
Not going into the water.
Well, into not going into the water, exactly. I mean...
But I mean, is it really to that extreme? Should we be scaring people not to go into the water? I mean, is it really to that point?
No matter what you write, you're going to have a percentage of people who are scared by it and choose to adapt to whatever the scare story is rather than whatever reality is. I'm not sure we need to avoid reporting on what's actually happening because some people might take it too far.
That one that I saw that BZ did actually with the shark, that was only a few yards offshore that he got that steal.
That's right.
The Globe using the still from Jaws?
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 20 years ago. In defense of them, it was 20 years ago.
All right, I'll rewatch Sharknado.
We probably did the same thing.